Well, hey there, everybody. How's your day going? Hopefully, it's going pretty good for a Wednesday. And back at it with the memorable series playlist. This is we're up to 1987. This one's a memorable. This one's a memorable series for a couple of reasons. It is the Patrick Division Semifinal, and it features, of course, the New York Islanders against the Washington Capitals. Again, this series is memorable for a couple different reasons, and not good reasons for the Washington Capitals, unfortunately. But we get into this, and again, they have an 80-game season still. They're still playing 80 games. The New York Islanders finished with a record of 35, 32, and 12 for 82 points, while the Washington Capitals in 80 games finished with a record of 38, 32, and 10 for 86 points. So they were close in the standings. This was This, I believe, was the 2-3 matchup in the Patrick Division at the time, and yeah, this series ended up being pretty good, especially for one team, not so much the other. But we get into it here, and we get into game one, and of course, the Capitals. It is in Washington has home ice, and we get into game one, and Washington starts out quick. At 15 seconds, Mike Gartner scores to make it 1-0 from Dave Christian. Of course, everybody is familiar with Christian hockey sticks. That's one of the main guys behind that company. And so, yeah, 15 seconds in, the Capitals strike first. You get on the board and try to set the tone for the game. Well, then at 8:10, they make it 2-0. It is Gaetan Duchesne from Bob Gould and Kelly Miller? Either Kelly or Kevin Miller. I was looking at that too. I think it's Kelly. I think it's Kelly Miller. Just again, I think that's kind of what I think. But then, so that makes it 2-0, and then they really put a stranglehold here, because it is Miller again from Gould at 12 minutes to make it 3-0. So it's 3-0 after the first period. Caps looking good, looking really good. So second period starts. We get into it. At 13-12, though, the Islanders kind of get back into the game a little bit. It is Patrick Flatley from Randy Boyd, I think, and Pat LaFontaine. So it's 3-1, and Pat LaFontaine, of course, he plays pretty pivotal role in this series. So that makes it 3-1. Islanders have a little life. Third period comes, though, and the Capitals, they kind of they snuff that out a little bit more, because at 8:30, Ridley scores from Mike Gartner to make it 4-1. So you're thinking, the Caps are Caps are in pretty good shape here. Well, at 10:47 on the power play, it is Mike Bossy scoring from Dennis Potvin to make it 4-2. So the Islanders have a little life here. And then at 18:57, they get a little bit closer, but this is as close as they can get. It's Brian Trottier from Dennis Potvin and Mike Bossy to make it 4-3. But that is as close as the Islanders are able to get. So the Capitals hang on to home ice advantage. They win game 1, 4-3, and they take that 1-0 lead. Now the goaltenders, we had Kelly Rudy, who was the goaltender at the time for the New York Islanders, and Pete Peters for the Washington Capitals. Kelly Rudy had he stopped 28 of 32 shots for an .875 save percentage in the game. Not that great of a save percentage. Pete Peters wasn't much better though. He wasn't bad, but save percentage wise, he stopped 25 of 28 for an .893 save percentage. So the Capitals jump up 1-0. We get into game 2. Now this one, the Islanders start out scoring first. At 2:41, it is Steve Conroy from Bob Basson and Alan Kerr. So they jump up 1-0. Good start for the Islanders. Second period, there was no scoring, so nobody scored in the second period. Third period, the Capitals get back into the game. They tie the game. It is Mike Ridley from another familiar name that we would definitely hear about later on in the years. Assisted from Scott Stevens, a young Scott Stevens. So that's 1-1. And so it's a 1-1 tie. Looking cool, looking good. Capitals get a little momentum there. But then at 17:20 on the power play, it is Brian Trottier giving the Islanders a 2-1 lead from LaFontaine and Ken Leiter. So 2-1 for the Islanders. And then into the empty net. The Capitals pull the goaltender. Then into the empty net at 19:43, it is Trottier from Crom to make it 3-1, and that's the final score. The Islanders tie the series at 1 apiece with a 3-1 win in game 2. Kelly Rudy stopped 27 of 28 shots for a .964 save percentage in the game. Pete Peters had a decent game. He stopped 21 of 23. So, that's a .913 save percentage. So that's a 1-1 series tie. Then we get into game 3. Game 3 here, good performance by the Capitals in this one. At 14:08, Washington gets on the board first to make it 1-0. It is Larry Murphy from Mike Gardner and Dave Christian. So that makes it 1-0 Washington. Again, no goals scored in the second period. There was actually no goals scored, throughout basically the rest of the game until the Islanders pull the goaltender, and at 19:36 into the empty net, it is Gaetan Duchesne unassisted to make it 2-0, and the Capitals shut out the Islanders in game 3. So they go into Nassau Coliseum for game 3, and they shut them out. Now, instead of Pete Peters didn't play in game 3. It was Bob Mason. He stopped all 26 shots that he faced. And then Kelly Rudy, of course, for the Islanders, he stopped 30 of 31, .968 save percentage. Pretty decent game. If I'd say, 2-0, 2-0 game. Rudy still played pretty well. But then, it just, kind of happens. So game 4, we get into game 4. The Capitals are up 2-1. We get into game 4, and here the Islanders strike first in game 4. It is Brad Lauer. Trying to keep the first names are always a little interesting, but it's Lauer from Conroy and Leiter to make it 1-0 for the Islanders on the power play too. Almost forgot that. But then just a little over 40 seconds later, it is Larry Murphy from Rod Langway to make it 1-1 at 11:08. So it's 1-1. Looking, little momentum for the Capitals. Definitely not a bad thing. And then 18:26, it is Christian from Hayworth and Blum to make it 2-1 for the Capitals. And then a little over a minute 20 later, it is Gartner again. It is Gartner from Hayworth to make it 3-1. So it's 3-1 after the first period in Game 4. The Islanders are, a little stunned for sure, a little bit stunned. The second period, so you go into the second period, it's 3-1 Caps. 15:57 of the second period, it is Gartner from Murphy and Ridley to make it 4-1, and that's the final. There's no other goals are scored, and so yeah, the Islanders or the Capitals go in to Nassau in Long Island and take 2 from the Islanders with a 4-1 win. Bob Mason, looking like the Capitals made a good move here with Bob Mason. He stopped 25 of 26 for a .962 save percentage. Kelly Rudy stopped 33 of 37 for an .892 save percentage in the game. And, Capitals have a stranglehold on the series. You'd think, okay, they're in good shape. The Capitals are up 3-1. This, unfortunately, will start becoming a pattern with this Washington Capitals team. And it's not just this year. This happens. I mean, it's a thing with the Washington Capitals in 3-1 leads. So we get into Game 5. Back in Washington. Capitals looking to knock out the Islanders on home ice. Well, the Islanders have a little something to say about that. Because at 5:06 of the first period, it is Lauer, unassisted, to make it 1-0. And then 20 seconds later, it is LaFontaine from Kerr and Ken Morrow to make it 2-0 for the Islanders. And so, that's a good way to kind of stomp, put the, silence the crowd, so to speak. Second period, though, the Capitals get back into it. Get a little life here. It is Greg Adams from Scott Stevens and Dave Christian. So it's 2-1 for the Capital, or 2-1 for the Islanders here. And then the Capitals tie it. At 10:58, it is Kevin Hatcher from Stevens and Hayworth. It's 2-2. So the Capitals have come back from 2-0 down. They've tied the game. They're looking good. But at 14:13, it is Gilbert from Randy Wood and Patrick Flatley to make it 3-2 for the New York Islanders. And then, so it's 3-2. That's the score after the second period. We get into the third period. Goes all the way through until at the 17:44 mark. It is Patrick Flatley putting the game out of reach from Crom and Deneen to make it 4-2. So the Islanders, they fend off elimination with a 4-2 win in Game 5. That looks pretty good. So the Islanders, they get a little momentum here. So we go into Game 6. Back in Long Island. Of course, the Capitals, another chance to advance into the Patrick Division Final. Well, the Islanders, of course, have a little something to say about that. Game 6 at 15:34, the Islanders get on the board first again. It is Trottier from Deneen and Flatley. That makes it 1-0 for the Islanders. And then at 18:51, it is Dwayne Sutter, another one of the Sutter boys, makes it 2-0 for the Islanders from Basson and Gilbert. So the Islanders, they finished the first period with a 2-0 lead. Looking good. But again, the Capitals are good at fighting back. Second period, we get into the second period, and at 4:26, it is Michael Pavanka from Stevens and Gartner to make it 2-1. So that cuts the lead in half. And then at 6:58, the Capitals tie it. It is Gaetan Duchesne from Gould and Miller. So it's 2-2. Looking good. Well, then they get a power play. And on the power play, the Capitals take the lead. It is Ed Kastelik from Adams and Pavanka. It's 3-2 for the Capitals. They have a lead. Oh, could they pull this off? No, unfortunately, they could not. Then, on the power play at 11:31, so exactly 2 minutes after they take the lead, the Islanders tie it. It is LaFontaine from Makela and Conroyd, so that makes it 3-3. Looks good. Good game so far, right? Then 14:27, the Islanders get the lead back. It is Makela from LaFontaine. That makes it 4-3. And then to wrap up the second period, it is LaFontaine again from Makela. That makes it 5-3. And Washington goes from getting that 3-2 lead. They fall behind 2-0. They claw their way back to make it 3-2. And then, so they score 3 unanswered goals, and then the Islanders come back and score 3 unanswered themselves. But in the third period, Washington tries to get back into it again. At 6:19, it is Miller unassisted. That makes it 5-4. But that's as close as they get. So it is now 3-2. Or no, that makes it 3-2. That one makes it 3-3. So the series is now tied up at 3 apiece. Also, I forgot, in Game 5, Kelly Rudy stopped 40 of 42 for a .952 save percentage for the New York Islanders, while Pete Peters was back in the game for the Capitals in Game 5. He stopped 20 of 24 for an .833. Now, we go back in. We get back into Game 6 here. They put Bob Mason back in net, and it didn't really make much of a difference. Mason stopped 29 of 34 for an .853 save percentage, while Kelly Rudy stopped 23 of 27 for an .852 save percentage. So save percentages are pretty even, but we got a Game 7. The Capitals jumped up 3-1, and again, this has kind of become a pattern with this franchise. Game 7, though, we get into Game 7, and last minute of the period, the Capitals get on the board first. It is Gartner from Adams and Stevens to make it 1-0 for the Capitals. Get that crowd into it, but that of course would not last. We get into the second period. Capitals are up 1-0 after the first. Second period at 11:35, it is Flatley from Conroyd and Trottier that ties the game at 1. And, you're like, uh-oh. Well, then at 2-1, then at 18:45, the Capitals, they get the lead back. They make it 2-1. It is Martin from Adams and Murphy. That makes it 2-1. And you're thinking, okay, can they hold on? No, they can't. Because at 14:37 of the third period, after having that 2-1 lead after 2 periods, Brian Trottier at 14:37 ties the game from Kerr and Conroyd. That makes it 2-2, and that's how the third period ends. Then the overtimes start, and we go through one overtime, no goals. We go through a second overtime, no goals. We go through a third overtime, Still no goals. We go into the fourth overtime. And this is where it ends. And the saga of the Capitals and 3-1 series leads, unfortunately, kind of starts. Because at 8:47, it is Pat LaFontaine scoring a goal that just unbelievable. I mean, a goal that everybody just. I mean, you still go back and see it on replays, and you're just like, wow. Pat LaFontaine, 8:47 from Leiter and Dineen. Islanders win 3-2 in 4 overtimes. They win the series 4-3, and the start of the Washington Capitals and their saga of jumping up 3-1 in Stanley Cup playoff series kind of starts. Because as far as I know, this was the first one of them that I had seen. They would do that. They would have a tendency to do that a lot. Of jumping up 3-1 and not being able to hold it. But yeah, so in 4 overtimes, a 4-overtime thriller, the New York Islanders come all the way back from 3-1 down to win the next 3 games to knock out the Washington Capitals 4-3. Game 7, quadruple overtime. Just phenomenal game. Just a phenomenal game, phenomenal series. and yeah, it was something else. Sorry, I had a little coughing fit there. But the Islanders advance. They come from behind. They come from 3-1 down to advance to the Patrick Division Final, and the Washington Capitals, they kind of sit and wonder what could have been. Now, goaltending. Kelly Hrudey, he stopped 73 of 75 shots. He had a .973 save percentage in the game. 73 saves. Woo! Yeah, just incredible. And Bob Mason stopped 54 of 57. It's interesting because you had Pete Peters playing in the first 2 games for the Capitals, and he was 1-1 in those games. Well, then Bob Mason comes in. And he gets 2 wins for the Capitals. And you're thinking, okay, why didn't he? I don't exactly know why he didn't start Game 5. I mean, I got to think, maybe he was hurt or something, but he was back in Game 6 and Game 7. Kind of makes you think. Bob Mason starts in Game 5. Does this comeback happen? I don't know. But, they put Pete Peters back in, and yeah, the comeback for the Islanders started, and the Islanders completed it. So that is that's the series for today. That is the 1987 Patrick Division Semifinal. The New York Islanders come back from 3-1 down to defeat the Washington Capitals 4-3. Winning Game 7 in quadruple overtime, 4 overtimes, just crazy. So let me know what you guys think of this series, and yeah, I'll put the one I got for 1988 should be yeah, that one's in it. That one's going to be an interesting one too. The one for 1988. But yeah. So let me know what you guys think of the of this one. What do you think of the series? And yeah, this unfortunately would not be the last time the Washington Capitals and 3-1 leads are are kind of a problem. But let me know what you guys think. Hit that like button. That would be greatly, greatly appreciated. Only takes about half a second. Hit that little thumbs up. Also, if you would please hit that subscribe button. That would be greatly, greatly appreciated. I am very appreciative of all of my subscribers that I have, and yeah, obviously, you hit the subscribe button. That kind of tells me you kind of like the stuff on the video or like the stuff on the channel, and again, that would be greatly, greatly appreciated, and yeah. And also, too, if you want to share this video or any other videos from the channel with friends, with family, go right ahead. That would be absolutely incredible. And yeah, the next one up on this little playlist will be a series from 1988, and yeah, that one will be a pretty good one too. So again, let me know what you guys think. Hit that like and subscribe button. That would be absolutely awesome. And I will see you guys again later.